It is now December. What Christmas movie am I going to review first? Well, I am not yet watching Christmas movies, but instead, I watched Meg 2. So, here's my review on Meg 2 The Trench. Let's start off with everything I liked about it. And for starters, the comedy in here, especially around the last act of the movie, I found hilarious. Now, most of that delivery was from Paige Kennedy. He was hilarious in this movie, especially around that last act of the movie. He was hilarious. I feel like he stole the spotlight. If you guys have seen Fast and the Furious, that kind of humor from the newer stuff from Fast and Furious, take that kind of humor. That's basically what Paige Kennedy was, and I found it hilarious. Now, the last act of this movie was exactly what you want. You have these monsters, you just have stupid fun, you have just nonsense, and you have to turn your mind off to enjoy it and just not think about logic. You get that part in this last act of the movie, and that part is really enjoyable. It is exactly what you want from the movie, and you get to see like this stupid stuff happen on screen, and that's exactly what you want from this movie. You just have like this, you have no sense in your mind, you just turn it off and just watch the movie. Like, this is the kind of movie that you would put on, just hanging out, put on this movie, and just make fun of it as you go along. It's making the last act of this movie enjoyable. Sorry if I pronounce this wrong, but Jason Statham and Jing Wu, I think is how you say it. They're the two main leads in this movie, and they're just stars of this movie. And Jason Statham, obviously the American star that you guys may know. Jing Wu is from China, and if you watch the China version of the trailer, you can tell the difference in the trailers of who they're trying to spotlight, the main celebrities in the movie. But those are the two main stars in this movie, and I feel like they do a really good job. It's just fun watching him on screen. I know him more from other movies than this movie, so I knew him more from those movies, but it's fun watching Jason Statham on screen fighting sharks, just like the first Meg movie. But that does lead to everything I didn't like about this movie. And if you guys haven't noticed, throughout this review, I've been pointing everything for the final 30 minutes of the movie, the final act of the movie. Now, everything else before that is not a Meg movie. There's a reason why they have the trench words in the title. This is not fully a Meg movie. The middle of this movie is some random side quest. I mean, it's not side quest. It's it's the plot of the movie, and the Meg is a side plot. So it's kind of like the problem I had with Jurassic World Dominion. If you've seen that old review, if you've been around that long, my first review on this channel was of Jurassic World Dominion. One of my problems with that movie was that the dinosaurs were not the main villain. So, take that part, put it into the Meg 2, and there you go. The Meg is not the main villain of the movie. We have human characters again being the main villain of the movie. And it may not seem bad, but when the Meg feels like a side plot in there, it makes you think that they had two scripts in mind, and they thought they wanted to blend them together to make a story. Because the first, 20 minutes of this movie, it introduces the Meg. It, shows what happens with that to lead into the story. But then everything else after that, they're just in this... I don't really want to spoil it, but they're somewhere. And the Meg doesn't pop up. Well, there's, Megs in there, but they don't come into play until the final act of this movie. So you have this entire middle act of the movie, it's just there. It just feels like an extra story. So if you take Meg 2 out of the title and take the stuff with Meg out of the movie, then you have a movie called The Trench. And that right there just fixes all these problems. Because instantly, it's not a Meg movie, and it's just about the trench. That's what this movie is. It's about the trench that they go to. And yeah, that's the plot of the movie. It's not really about Meg. It's the trench. That's the main plot of the movie. So all this enjoyment in the movie, all the stupid fun that you want from a Meg movie, does not come until the final act of the movie. So I don't hate this movie as much as Jurassic World Dominion, because there's still enjoyment to be had in here, and I guess the storyline makes more sense in this than it did for Jurassic World Dominion. But again, it feels like a side plot again. But that side plot, well, I guess the main story of the movie, the side plot would be the Megs, but the main story of this movie is not bad. I mean, if you just know that before you watch this movie, that there's not going to be a lot of Meg in here, I feel like you'll enjoy that section a little bit better, because I knew going into this movie from other reviews that the Meg was not really in this movie till the end. So I kind of knew what I was expecting, but if you're going into this movie expecting non-stop monster eating, more like the first one, because the first one did have a lot of Meg in it. If you're expecting more of the first one, take that out of your mind, because this movie is more about a trench instead of the Meg. Keep that in mind if you have not seen the movie already. And like I said, that the main story of this movie is not bad. It's just not what you're expecting, and the story could be better. There's a lot of stuff in there that I feel like they could really tighten up and like fix the loose threads. It's just because they have like multiple stories in here, and I feel like they could have just stuck to one. If they wanted to tell a trench story, don't make it a Meg movie. If they wanted to tell a Meg movie, make a Meg movie. Like, I have no idea what the writers were thinking when making this movie. Stick to a storyline. Why? Like, multiple other movies do this as well. Like, I know Geostorm did this. I've seen that. Why can't you guys just stick to one story? Like, what's so hard about that? I have no idea why the writers were struggling. As if, like, the studio was demanding stuff. Why couldn't you just write one story? Like, make it a Meg movie, or make it a trench movie. Like, why is that so hard to do? Like, that's not hard to do. I could make a Meg movie right now and have it entirely based on the Meg, and you just have dumb fun throughout the entire movie. You do not need this trench story in there. All in all, the Meg 2, the trench, it's not a Meg movie. It's more of a trench movie about a trench storyline, and the Megs don't come till the end of the movie. The dumb fun comes in the later act. What the trailer promised us comes in the later act. This movie, this has completely other storyline, but the comedy in the end of the movie, the final act, I found hilarious. And, of course, the lead stars steals the show, like always. Like, of course, Jason Statham always steals the show. This movie's dumb fun at the end, but the main plot point they have in here is not bad, but it's not good either. So, it has a bunch of mixtures to it. I barely recommend this movie. Like, it is on the bridge of me not recommending this movie. Like, this is don't recommend, this is recommend. It's right there. It's right there. But because you do have silly, dumb fun eventually, and it's hilarious when it happens, that makes me barely recommend it. But everything else in the movie is very close to passing it. It's very close. Yeah, you could almost just skip to the end of the movie just to watch that. But it's barely there. And out of 10, I'll give Meg 2, The Trench, a 5.5 out of 10. Like I said, it's on the brink of me not recommending this movie, but it's there. I recommend it barely. So, I feel like this is the kind of movie that you just put on when you're hanging out with people. Just make fun of it while you're hanging out. That's all this movie is made for, besides that useless storyline in here. And yeah, That's my review on Meg 2 The Trench. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts. Follow my letterbox called The Color Man Movie. And I will see you guys all next time. Goodbye.